had a man on the bed, and I was cutting through this man's chest. You know, there were so many bodies, but I felt something grab my ankle from underneath the bed, and I looked down, and it was a young woman, and she had a severed leg, and she held her hand out, and she went, "Sa'idni, Sa'idni, help me, help me."
Oh,
And I said to myself, right, I need to secure this chest drain to get him to breathe, and then I will see her.
Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear respected brothers and sisters. SubhanAllah, we're back in the funeral room here at Lakemba Mosque, and I have a special guest with us who needs no introduction. Brother Mohammed Mustafa. Allah barik feek, Hajj. MashaAllah alaik, SubhanAllah. My brothers and sisters, he needs no introduction because this is a man who just came out of, none of us wish to be there.
There's been bombs that have been going down for about 30 minutes non-stop. There's screams everywhere. And we're going to go down to the emergency department. This is a mass casualty event, and there are going to be a lot of bodies.
I love us. Wallah, we are blessed to be where we are. Akhi Muhammad, you're a doctor, right? You're a medical doctor.
Yeah.
I want to go right to the start.
Yeah.
What made you want to go to Gaza, to Palestine?
I mean, you see the pictures, don't you, of the women and children. You see the death and the destruction, and everyone wants to do something.
Yeah.
But I said to myself, I need to go. I need to do something with my hands. I can't just pray every night. I can't just talk about it. I need to put actions into words, and that's why I went.
So you picked yourself up from Melbourne.
Yeah.
From your comfortable home.
Yeah.
Power, water,
Yeah.
everything as we live every day.
Yeah.
And you stopped your work. You're a doctor. You're a practicing doctor.
Yeah.
And you took yourself all the way across the globe to a war zone.
Yeah.
Not knowing if you're going to even see the next day.
Yeah.
And you began.
Well, the first thing I had to do was I had to get permission off my mum. You know,
Allah Akbar, yeah.
I had to speak to my mum, and I remember when I first spoke to her, because, you know, it's very difficult to get in, and sometimes you just get told last minute. And I called her up, and I had 5 days notice that I was going to Gaza. This was the first time back in June. And I called my mum and I said to her, Mama, I'm going to go to Gaza. They've accepted me. I'm going to go down. And she started crying because she was so scared. And then, you know, she was so overwhelmed with emotions that, you know, she hung up the phone. And then she called me back about 10 minutes later, and she said to me, Hamada, I know from a kid this is what you wanted to do. And she said, death is not in the hands of the Israelis or those bombs. It's in Allah's hands. So I'm going to leave you in Allah's hands, and inshallah you'll return back to me.
That's beautiful. SubhanAllah, that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
You got there, you landed.
Yeah.
Was it anything you expected? Worse? Was it? Tell us.
Do you know the one thing that I think really got to me was the first time we went in there in June, it was at the height of the war. And as we went in, we saw bodies on the ground, and the dogs were chewing on them. And I remember thinking to myself, well, where have we become? 2 billion Muslims, and dogs are eating these children on the streets. And when we arrived, the drones, the airstrikes, the screams, every single day you could hear the drones above your head. You were just scared of what was going to happen. And I didn't understand the concept of living like death is round the corner until I went to Gaza, because you really don't know. I would always...
Did you fear death? Did you?
There was times with Allah Azim where, you know, I bring you back to the night that the ceasefire broke, right? Because that was the night where more children were killed in the first hour than the Russia-Ukraine conflict in 3 years. And most of those children came to my hospital. And, you know, within half an hour, the hospital was full, and we were treating people on the streets outside the hospital because there was no room in the hospital. And I remember there was this one man, and I got my ultrasound, and his lungs were filled with blood. And I knew that I had to help him breathe, I had to cut through his chest and
Puncture.
And put in a chest tube to reinflate his lungs. And there was no analgesia, no anesthetic. And I got a blade, and I cut through his chest, and I started putting in this pipe into his chest. And he kept saying this word over and over again. He kept saying, Banati, Banati, Banati. My girls, my girls, my girls. And There was no beds. There was no beds as well. And the CT scanner to scan him was at the other side of the hospital. So I had to pick him up and hold his chest drain. And I ran to the CT scanner to hold him. And he kept saying to me, Banati, Banati, Banati. And I put him on the CT scanner to get scanned. And as they were scanning him, he died on the CT scanner. But because there's only one CT scanner and there's hundreds of casualties, we didn't even have time to move his body anywhere. We simply picked up his body, put it on the floor, and we brought in the next person. And he was just there on the floor dead. And we were just bringing in more and more people. And when he said Banati, 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 it became an amana to me. Yeah, he had 3 girls. They were between the ages of 5 and 2 years old. And when they brought in
5 and 3 years old.
5, 3 and 2 years old.
How old was this man?
He was, I don't know, he was like in his 30s or something. And when he came in, they brought him in wrapped in a blanket, and his wife was there and she was dead, completely burnt and dismembered. And the 3 girls were also in the blanket, and they were crying, but they were in shock, and they had cuts and injuries everywhere. So we took the girls inside the hospital, and he stayed outside of the hospital because it was, because he's a man. We thought the children are the ones that we're trying to save first. And I ran in and I found those 3 girls. And, we'd done our assessments, we'd stabilized them, but I grabbed them because they also needed scanning as well. And I ran to the CT scanner and I was holding them like this. I was like, this is my amana. He was telling me, Banati, Banati, he was telling me about his daughters. And, I remember when I took them to the CT scanner, they had this woman who they were about to scan. And wallah adim, she had some of her intestines hanging out while they were trying to scan her. And I told them, stop. I said, these girls go first. And every day, I regret saying that because, this is also someone's daughter.
Yeah.
But I just felt like these girls have lost everything and they need each other. But these are the decisions that we had to make every single day in Gaza.
Subhanallah, Brother Muhammad, Allah gave you an honor, a favor, a blessing. I'm speechless, wallah. This is one of thousands of stories here.
Well, sometimes, because we talk about the people of Gaza and how they've honored the Muslim world and with their faith and their steadfastness, but you see some things and you think about the humiliation. Because the fuel has been cut off, people come in on a donkey cart. And I remember when they have to bring in their children, they bring them in on a donkey cart, right? Wallah al-Azim, I remember this, and I wanted to cry because this man had brought in his children. It was 5 children, and there was an airstrike, and they were all dismembered. One of them had his head missing, the other had her arm missing, and he brought them in, and he was screaming for help, and the donkey came, and the donkey cart was pushing him across. And when the donkey cart stopped, the donkey started urinating, and the urine was like, it splashed back off the ground and covered the children. And I remember thinking the humiliation that we are in, that his children, he has to watch his children die and urinated on. And look how desperate he is. And he fell to his knees and he went, Sa'iduni, Sa'iduni.
Help me, help me.
Yeah.
How do we help them? The whole reason we're here now, look at the blessings around us. You are in the funeral room.
Yeah.
We don't have funeral rooms like this over there.
Yeah.
These guys were barely getting coffin.
Yeah.
Were they being washed?
No.
Was there time to wash a dead body there? There's no time to even give the dignity of a funeral to them. The Salat al-Janazah was just the fard kafiyah that was being done in numerous.
Well, that was the bit that always got to me, was I just said, where's the dignity for them? Like, we've taken away their dignity in this life, and then in their deaths, we're throwing their bodies on the floor to bring in the next one. Animals are urinating on them. Dogs are eating them on the streets. Where's the dignity? And it made me question myself sometimes, and it made me think to myself, like, well,
we're going to be asked about this, aren't we?
Yeah.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to ask every single one of us that slept comfortably in those beds.
Yeah.
What did we do? How did we help them?
Yeah.
For them, I'm not worried. They are shuhadat. The shaheed only feels the sting of an insect. But we're the ones living in this comfort and watching on our screens, on our 5Gs, going, oh, that's bad. Oh, that's worse.
Do you know, sometimes I regret because I say to myself, like, you know, because there was some really difficult decisions I had to make that day. And I remember there was one decision where I had a man on the bed, and I was cutting through this man's chest, and you know, there were so many bodies, but I felt something grab my ankle from underneath the bed, and I looked down, and it was a young woman, and she had a severed leg, and she held her hand out, and she went, "Saidni, Saidni, help me, help me."
Oh,
And I said to myself, right, I need to secure this chest drain to get him to breathe, and then I will see her. And as soon as I secured the chest drain, it only must have taken me about 3-4 minutes. I could still feel her holding my ankle. Once I looked down, she bled to death
she died.
while holding my ankle.
She died.
And I remember thinking to myself, I've let this woman down. I'm here. She asked me for help, and she bled out to death while holding my leg.
SubhanAllah, the dignity, you know, doctor. I spent the last night with my dad as he's going through the pangs of death on his last breaths, and the whole family's around him. We're reading Quran to him, giving him the dignified ending that we should for every single one of us.
Yeah.
These people don't even have anyone around them.
No.
They're dying with their wounds, and they're dying in desperation, and they're dying saying the last words, "Where is my banet? Where are my children? Where?" And we are watching on a screen, and we're thinking, "Oh, Allah's with them. Allah's with them. But is Allah with us?" Because the whole reason we're doing this, the whole reason everybody, like, why are we here, is because we need. What do we need? What? How can the people? The hearts are crying out there now. I know they're crying. You know, can we do? Really, what can we do? We're seeing trucks. Are trucks getting in?
No.
Is money getting in?
No.
Okay. What can get in? What can actually make it better for these guys?
Well, I mean, what I want to do is I want to stay in this lane as a humanitarian. I want to build a field hospital in Gaza. I want to go to our government and I want to get this field hospital. I've been traveling up and down the country telling the stories of these people, but I cannot rest knowing how these children die alone, bleeding to death, scared, while the bombs are still going off, while they die in tents. After they've been in the emergency department, they go into tents, and maggots eat at their wounds until they die because there's no antibiotics. I can't stop the bombs. But I need to, at least the ones that are living, I need to keep them alive. So that's what I'm campaigning for. That's what I'm fighting for. That's what I've come to tell the story of. I've come to tell the story of how these people are dying in the most humiliating ways.
What do we need our government to do here?
We're
Australia, right? We're supposed to be a country that gives rights and stands up to humanitarian. And nobody wants to see, what did the kids do? This is what gets me, right? What's the kids got in all this? They're innocent. The ladies are innocent. These women are innocent. They're not the fighters. That's a whole nother story. But these kids, what chance do they have? Wallah, apart from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala giving them the martyrdom, the shaheed, what do they have except us right now?
Do you know what I would do sometimes is I would come down at night from the doctor's room and I would have sweets with me. I'd go around to the kids' wards and I would hand them sweets. And for some of them, they did not had sweets in almost a year, 2 years, they haven't had sweets. And I'd be handing them sweets. And the mothers would be really happy. And I would always just say to them, please pray for me. You know, on the day of judgment, just say that I was here. And just say I was with you at this moment. I felt so ashamed that the best I could offer was sweets, because we weren't allowed to bring in.
And our kids reject them here.
Yeah.
You give it to them and they say, no, I don't want that one.
Yeah. Honestly, these kids were so grateful. Look, there has to be honesty, right, about what's going on in Gaza. Because right now, the conversation is I'm saying that kids are starving, and the other side is saying they're not starving.
That's right.
We're saying that kids are dying, and they're saying they're not dying, they're human shields. We're saying their hospitals are targeted, and they're saying, no, they're used as military posts. If we're not honest we can never move to the next step. If I can't agree that this child is hungry, how are we going to feed it?
Yeah.
So what I want to do is I want to take the politics out, and I want to bring it back to the humanity. I want to give these people dignity again. Because if we give them dignity, we humanize them again. If we humanize them again, the world sees their death differently.
Yeah.
Because right now they're dying. They're being eaten by animals. They're being urinated on by animals. They're being thrown to the side. Children are being left to bleed to death on the floor with no one around them. Where's the dignity? I want to give them the dignity back. Let's get a hospital. Let's build a hospital. Let's staff it. Let's get doctors in. Let's bring them here to Australia. Let's treat the children here.
Saying bring them to Australia, I mean, I was in Dallas with Sheikh Ahmad Hraichie, and I saw some Palestinian kids, and I saw one kid in particular who I saw her go viral on Facebook, where she came out of the rubble and her eyes were rolling back, and we all thought she had died, but she had her legs amputated. And I came up to her and I said to her, "Forgive us." And she said, "We forgive you," you know. And I just looked and said, what's our problem? We have no problem on this world. We wake up, what? We don't have enough reception? There's a bit of traffic getting somewhere? Oh, the coffee didn't taste good today? Is that our biggest problem? Wallah, we don't have a problem. Wallah, we don't have a problem. But what we have to do, my brother, is get this going. We have to move forward now. We have to try. We can't dwell on the past. What's happening is happening. We need to see how do we push forward. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala send thousands of people like you, Doctor.
You know, the only reason that I've got this awareness is because I kept talking about it. But there are so many doctors there, the volunteers. You know, I'll tell you some stories about some amazing things that I saw when I was there. I remember there was a couple of doctors, and this was when the bombing was happening. And it was 9 o'clock at night. Now, you're not supposed to go out at night because it's dark. And the surgeon was an oncology surgeon, cancer surgeon. And there was a woman in the north of Gaza who had ovarian cancer and needed surgery. And he's the only surgeon that can do it. And him and the anaesthetist at night at 9 o'clock went out walking from Gaza City to the north of Gaza to do this surgery with the bombardment and the drones.
And the snipers and everything.
And everything. And they just went. And wallah, I remember when I was talking to them, they would just say to me, "Inshallah, we'll see you tomorrow for Ghada. We'll see you tomorrow for dinner, Muhammad." And I just thought to myself, subhanAllah, I said, man, there are some heroes here.
Yaqeen, certainty, so much certainty in Allah.
So much certainty. And you know, and these are international aid working doctors, you know, because sometimes you have to wait for UN approval to move from place to place. But for them, it was a duty to help these people. There were so many things, you know, I was there when the hospital was bombed, and, you know, the hospital was being bombed and people were killed in the hospital while it was being bombed. And I remember feeling scared and wanting to run away. But I look around and you'd see all the Palestinian resident doctors, and they were just
doing their job.
They were just like, we need to stay and we need to make sure that people, there are, honestly, I wish Allah sends better than me to Gaza. They deserve better than me.
Doctor, the last horrific thing we all saw and it hit everyone was those paramedics. That was shot for minutes and minutes, just continuous firing on them. You were there at that time, right? Because this is past.
Yes.
Did you hear about that?
You know, I was actually walking from the safe house to the hospital, and I had my little Australia flag and my British flag on and my stethoscope, and an ambulance driver stopped with his ambulance, it's a paramedic, and he said to me, "Ya doctor, when are you?" She was like, "Doctor, where are you going?" When I'm going to the hospital, and he went, "Come in, let me take you." And he was like, "You're not from here, are you?" And I went, No, I've come from Australia. And he said, "Let me get you a coffee." He goes, "Into ala rasma." He goes, "You people come here," you know. And he took me for a coffee, and I refused because I know, you know, how hard money is to come by. So I bought him a Snickers, you know. And this was 3 days after, you know, the bodies of the paramedics had been found. And I spoke to him and I said, "Are you not scared? You know, you're a paramedic. You saw what they did to the others." And he said to me, "We're already dead." He said, "We're already dead." He goes, "There's no fear." He goes, "We're already dead." He goes, "I just leave it in Allah's hands. If today's my day, today's my day." And that's the way that they live their lives.
How lucky they are.
Yeah.
How lucky they are, Allah, from a Muslim perspective, how lucky.
You know, I wish I could have the strength that they have, because I would be like, well, I'm still scared. You know, I still have that fear. I mean, I'm here in Gaza and the drones are everywhere and I've put myself in danger, but I'm still scared. But these guys, no fear. I went to a pharmacy over the road from the hospital, and I was buying medicine for a woman that I'd seen in the emergency department. She didn't have any money, so I thought I'd go buy it for her. And when the pharmacist saw, you know, where I was from, he was like, who are you buying this for? And I went, oh, I'm buying it for a woman in there. And he went, Wallah, you're not going to pay. And I went to him, why? And he goes, because you're here to serve the people. He went, I need to help you to help serve those people. And I said to him, but you're also the people here. Let me give you the money so you can continue your business and make a living. And he said to me, he has a brother in Germany and he has a brother in the Emirates, and he could have left anytime he wanted. But he said, but if I leave, he goes, this pharmacy is my amana. And he goes, and it's here to serve the people. If I leave, who's going to serve the people? And he goes, I'm going to stay right here for my people. There are people like that you meet, that you think to yourself, these are
Chosen.
These are special.
Chosen.
You know, and you know, Wallah al-Azim, when I came into the thing, he was just reading Quran. He had his feet up and he was just reading Quran. And he was just sat there in the pharmacy, right? And then he was, giving out free medicine to people.
You were there during Ramadan, right?
I was there during Ramadan, yeah.
We were all waiting for the iftar. Our biggest concern here was, oh my God, it's 7, it's daylight savings, it's late iftar.
Yeah.
What are we going to eat?
Yeah.
What were they eating? They were fasting, right?
Yeah.
These guys were fasting anyway because there's no food.
Do you know, I loved Ramadan in Gaza, but I also hated iftar. The reason is because the bombings would start at iftar.
They knew
people would gather, and that's when they would bomb. They used to, the 2 times where the most bombings would happen would be iftar and suhoor. That's when the bombing would be the most intense. And that's when, within 30 minutes of the adhan, we would have ambulances arriving with families coming in, all dead, children, women, all being bombed and dead. And I remember just, sometimes I wouldn't even eat iftar. I would just be in the ED waiting for the bodies to come in because I knew what was about to happen.
Let me ask you, Doctor, we see it on the screens, the ambulances are rushing, they're picking the bodies off the donkey carts, off the ambulances. You were one of those guys standing there waiting for the bodies.
Yeah.
How did it feel, man? I mean, we're watching on screens, but it's not going to be nothing like being there. The reality of blood and limbs and bones and kids and nameless people. And
there was a picture recently of a child, the headless child, that the nurse carried and held and walked.
Headless child.
The headless child, his head has been blown off, and that was my hospital. And
How old would this kid have been?
3 years old. And his head was blown off. Yeah. And I remember I went into the room where they keep the bodies, and it's just white plastic bags.
Not a fridge. There's no cooling system.
Yeah, it was just a white plastic bags. But the reason why we don't wrap them in white cloths is because sometimes they're so dismembered that the cloths don't work.
Yeah.
So we put them in plastic bags, and I remember putting this child in the plastic bag because I went to the fridge room, and there was just women and his father and these other people in the fridge. And his father was still alive, but his uncles were dead and his mother was dead. And I had to open up the bag for his father to identify the body, because we have to identify the bodies so we can report.
Put it on the database, yeah.
Put it on the database. I remember when he recorded it, he had he only recognized his son because of the sweets in his hand.
Because of the sweets in his hand?
Because he gave him those sweets and he went outside to play.
That's when you got bombed.
Yeah. And I'm just like, how do I console a father whose son's head is gone, it's missing? Like, we don't even know where it is. It must have blown 200-300 meters away.
Man, they have. Yeah. And some of these guys, some of these kids being killed, they're being targeted, right? They're snipers that are hitting.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are trained soldiers, and they're hitting in the targets to kill, right?
Yeah.
This isn't accidental fire.
Yeah.
You're treating him. You're having the body there and the bullets are in him.
Yeah.
Is this true?
So, before the ceasefire broke, we would always see children coming in with a single gunshot wound to the head or the neck. And it would be a drone that would come and it would shoot them. And, when we'd X-ray or CT their heads, you could see the trajectory of the bullet is from up to down. Pinpoint. So it was a drone overhead, and it's manned by an operator, and it would shoot them. And sometimes it would be a family, and it would always be the youngest child that was shot.
Why is that?
Azeb.
Because the youngest has a special love, isn't it?
Yeah.
To the father. He's the last.
Yeah, he's the last one.
And hurt them. To really make them suffer more than they're suffering.
Exactly. And we would see so many children like this. And, when I saw this kid, he had been shot in the neck, and it entered his neck and it had come out here. And they brought him in and he was still alive. and he was choking on his blood, and you know, you could see how scared he was in his eyes, and we didn't even have anything to give him. We were just turning him over to his side so he wouldn't choke on his blood, but he died.
He died.
Yeah.
And you saw courageous stories of older kids looking after the younger kids when they become the mother and the father, 9, 10-year-olds.
Well, you know, I remember there was this one story where, you know, because the hospitals are the only place sometimes that have electricity,
yeah,
and they have running water. So people that live out in the tents or whatever, sometimes they come to the hospital to fill their bottles of water. And there were these, you know, 4 or 5-year-old girls. There was about 3 of them. They came to fill up their jugs of water. And it was like a 3-liter jug of water, right? And each one of them filled 2 of them, and they started carrying them, and they were walking out of the hospital with them. And I saw them. Now, you're not allowed to leave the hospital grounds, but I was like, can't leave these girls to carry these water. And I said to them, let me carry them for you. They were, where are you going? And they went, oh, we're going over there. And I carried six of these jugs right there. And I thought, I'm a big man, I can handle this. Wallah al-azim. The sweat, I was exhausted. And they carried it up this partially destroyed building, and we went all the way up to the top floor. It was about 7 stories. And I was carrying these jugs, and I was like, how are these girls doing it every single day? And they're doing it because their father, his leg is blown off.
So he can't move anything.
He can't move.
Ya Allah.
You know, and the mother is injured. So these little 4 or 5-year-old girls are going out in the markets and the streets where the bombing and the drones are happening, and they're just carrying these jugs of water. And I remember when I gave them there, I reached in my pocket and I wanted to give her 50 shekels. And I said, you know, get yourself some sweets or something like that. And she said to me, no, I've just eaten.
Subhanallah. Contentment.
Content.
They're content.
I felt ashamed offering her the 50 shekels. I was like, I thought I was doing her a favor when really, you know what I mean? She has so much honor and dignity, this 5-year-old girl.
You know, we can talk all day about everything you've seen.
Yeah.
How are you dealing with it, man?
Well, I've cried so much. You know, I've cried a lot, but the way I'm dealing with it is by doing this, is by going out, speaking about it, and hopefully we try and get something for these children.
About it, huh?
We're going to do something about it.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
We're going to, inshallah, have everybody out there.
Yeah.
Even $1.
Even $1.
Even $1. Wallah, it'll be a witness for you on Day of Judgment.
Inshallah.
The people of Gaza will be a witness for you on Day of Judgment.
Inshallah.
On that day, we face Allah. They won't say they forsaked us.
Yeah.
They were too busy with their lavish lifestyles.
Yeah.
All the other things that we have.
Yeah.
At least we tried.
Yeah.
We physically can't be there. You know, we don't have the ability like you, doctor, but we can, not physically, but through spiritually and through the means that Allah has given us to help them.
We have to unify with everybody, because this is a humanitarian issue. It's not just a Muslim issue. We have to be united. We have to put aside our differences, you know, because I was there, right? People have petty arguments here, but when you're over there and you're seeing children dying and you see the death, those petty arguments don't mean anything. It doesn't matter if this mosque does it this way and this sheikh prays this way or this way. We need to stop these children dying. That's what needs to happen, and we need to come together as an ummah, as a group, as a collective. All the students that are protesting for us, all the people around the world but we need to unite, and we need to help these children.
Inshallah, Ya Rabb, you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you the ability and the means, and everybody out there opens their hearts for this. In a Western culture, we become desensitized because we see things so much that what's the new flavor of the day? This is not a new flavor of the day. This is the flavor of the day. This is something that must not ever be forgotten.
Exactly.
Because we will be held accountable. And what you said, these children, Shuzambun, what is their crime? To be born in that part of the world?
That's it.
To be born in that part of the world? They weren't there in the Nakba. They weren't there in the 70s and 80s. They weren't there in the 90s alone. They're all 2,000 plus babies.
Most of them weren't even born when Hamas was voted in.
SubhanAllah. They
didn't even know where they grew up.
This is why it's so important that we plead to our government, our government here in Australia, that these are children. They don't belong to any group. They're the children of God. Every child counts. They're innocent. All the innocent people. The mothers, they're not soldiers. They're trying to raise kids. We know, living in our country here, our kids, you know, one kid gets hurt, the world stops. It makes the 6 p.m. news.
Exactly. And we need to unite for these children.
And we're going to do it, inshallah.
Inshallah.
And inshallah, Ya Rab, your meeting today with the government officials, inshallah, is successful.
Inshallah.
The ears start opening up through dua, through the will of Allah, and everything is in the hands of Allah. Allah is the best of planners.
Inshallah.
You know, and Allah, I reach out to you every day now.
Yeah.
Check up on you, Doctor. Wallahi.
Allah Khalid.
I thought I was the only one going through this tunnel.
Yeah.
SubhanAllah, you are going through, you know, I just heard the cool room door open.
Yeah.
A body has just come in.
Yeah.
When that happened, when you were there, it was chaos, wasn't it?
It was just, there was so many bodies. Yeah.
There was so many bodies just coming in, and blood, their limbs. And you can see, I mean, this is happening live right now. This probably gives you memories back of, you haven't seen a body since
I come back here.
Yeah. SubhanAllah. This is giving you memories back again, huh?
Yeah.
SubhanAllah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ease the burden, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for everyone. Just wait, boys. You know, Akhi, we're going to put up everything we need for people to how to donate, how to help. You're back for a little while. You got to get back into your doctor's work. You need to make some money again. You need to live. You've sacrificed. You've left everything for the sake of helping. You know, you've been selfless. SubhanAllah, Allah barik feek and reward you. And wallah, I'm here for you, Akhi. Anything you need, you want to talk, I'm here for you, my brother.
I appreciate it, brother.
When you first saw that video of me and the Muslim Undertaker, that was filmed 1 week after I'd got out of Gaza. Since then, we've travelled around the world. We've managed to sell out Parliament House in Australia and speak with Senator Dave Pocock. We've managed to get support by MPs in Australia. We've managed to get support by MPs in the UK, and we've managed to get support from the entire Irish government, who will be supporting this project and helping further strengthen ties with the EU with this project. And hopefully the next step is we're going to be going to Canada and getting the Canadian government on board. This really is beginning to take shape. And in a few short weeks, we've managed to bring various NGOs together. We've managed to bring diplomatic connections and relations between different government figures together. And we're in a process now where we're almost there in securing the funding for the paediatric hospital. We've got a maternity and neonatal hospital built by Pious Projects ready to go into Gaza as well. It's at the border. It can be operational in 7 days. We're very, very close to getting that hospital in and getting all the support from these governments to allow pressure to break the siege in Gaza. So I can't thank everybody enough for all your support, and inshallah we'll keep going.